Good morning, grade 5. I hope everybody's doing well and you're ready for today's lesson. So let's get started. So in our textbooks on page 92 and 93, we'll be doing reading today and we'll be reading a myth. Right, so it says, many folk tales are based on myths. Myths are beliefs that are not true. Early humans made up stories to explain natural events. Each generation told these myths to the next generation as though they were true. Many early African people believed that the earth and sky were once joined, and they told stories about how they became separated. The myth below comes from Nigeria. Okay, so we know that they told us a myth or beliefs that are not true, right? And here they gave us some pictures and examples of the African people back in the olden days. Okay, the next thing we have is the before you read questions. So those questions you will answer by yourself once you read this by yourself when you do homework. But for now, I will just quickly read through the story and we'll discuss the questions afterwards. So it's called, the story of the title says, The Distant Sky. At the beginning of the time, the world was young and green and filled with birdsong. There were no cities or wars or refrigerators. Best of all, the delicious and nutritious sky was close to earth. So close that whenever the people were hungry, they could just break off a piece of the sky and eat it. They never had to grow yams or sorghum or hunt animals. They could spend their days telling stories and playing with the animals, who were never frightened of them. But even then, men and women were frequently greedy and would cut off more than they needed to satisfy their hunger. This made the sky extremely angry, especially as they just threw whatever they did not need onto a rubbish dump. So the sky told the people, "If you do not treat me with more respect, I will go far away where you cannot reach me." This made the people worried because they knew how much they would suffer if the sky went away. For a long time, they were careful and only cut what they needed and no more. But one day, a greedy woman cut an enormous piece out of the sky. She ate it as much as she could, but she could not finish it. She called her husband to help her. He too ate his fill, but there was still a huge piece left. They called everyone in the village, the dogs, the cats, the old people, and the children. But however much they ate, they could not finish it all. In the end, they had to throw the rest of the piece onto the rubbish dump. The sky was outraged and at once flew far from the earth. The people tried to reach it. They climbed the highest mountains and the tallest trees, but the sky was as far as the distant stars. From that day, people had to work hard to get the food they need, and often they go hungry. Okay, so that was the myth about the distant sky. Okay, so let's go to the next page. Page 94. Here we have the after you read questions. So there's question 1 to 3 that you will need to complete for homework as well. So just to recap about the story, we know that it is a myth, and like they told us in the beginning, a myth is beliefs that are not true. So it's basically stories that people have made up and they've told to the next generation and the generation after that. So the distant sky, which is the myth I just read, tells us about the ancient times in Africa. And it speaks about all the villages and how they were so greedy to eat pieces of the sky that they The sky ended up angry and warned them, but they did not listen. And then the sky moved away and they could not eat from it again. Right? So they had to work hard to get their food. So for homework, you write the heading, date, and page number and draw a line. Then I would like you to read the myth, The Distant Sky, again by yourself on page 93. Then you answer the before you read questions 1 to 3 on page 92. And after that, you answer the after you read questions 1 to 3 on page 94. This must all be completed in your English workbook, right? So that's all for today's lesson. I hope you learned something new about a myth and how it was in the ancient times in Africa. Enjoy your weekend and I'll see you Monday. Bye.